Good morning, everybody. Today, our topic is proxemics. Now, what is proxemics? Proxemics is something that we all will definitely understand now because most of us have been, uh, we are now, what we say about space. Most of us do not like our space to be intruded nowadays, primarily because of the pandemic and all those things. So we will just have an explanation about proxemics. What is proxemics? Proxemics deals with the use of space in communication. It focuses not only on the ways individuals orient themselves to other individuals and objects in their immediate physical environment, but also perceptual and behavioral impacts of these spatial orientations. The term proxemics was coined by Edward T. Hall. Proxemics consists in the messages people express when, for example, they prefer to sit in the front or back of a classroom, or whether they sit near to or far from the head of the table at a meeting. Most teachers will tell you that mischief makers dash to the back of the classroom and that the more serious students choose a front of a seat. So this is a very classic example of proxemics. The proximity, it is actually coming from that word proximity. So generally, if you ask a teacher, the teacher will say that the good students sit in front of the class, and back, the back seat is generally reserved for mischief makers, those who really do not want to listen to the class. But in terms of your class, I don't think that it is so. Uh, Whatever it is, so you can imagine when you come to a hall for a meeting, where do you sit? Do you sit at the front, or do you sit at the middle, or do you sit at the back? Now, this is very important in proxemics. You might sometimes sit in the front because you want to listen, you want to absorb all what the speaker says, including his movements, his body gestures, his paralinguistic features. But if you sit in the back, sometimes you may not be able to observe his paralinguistic features. And sometimes you can even maybe doze off, you can maybe sleep off, and still the speaker would not know. So, all these things are very important nowadays. When you go in the bus, when you sit, you really don't want another person to sit next to you, or if at all he sits next to you, he or she sits next to you, you try to maintain a small space between you. These are all proxemics, the use of space in communication. And this particular term was coined by Edward T. Hall. Now, the proximate environment, we use space to communicate. When we use the space that can be perceived directly, we are communicating with the proximate environment. The proximate environment includes everything that is physically present to the individual at a given moment. For instance, for example, the proximate environment of a student in a classroom includes the students' desks, the other students, the teacher, the chalkboard, the windows, the doorway. The student's proximate environment does not include the soccer team practicing outside, or students in another classroom. So suppose you're playing with the football team. There, the um, the you don't mind being very close to each other. But when you, let's say, come to class, and in the class, naturally you would maybe prefer a seat near the window. You might prefer a seat maybe just near to the teacher, or you might prefer a seat closer to the aisle, that is the middle, and things like that. So that depends on your proximate environment. And this is generally what is known as proxemics. And what is proxemics? Proxemics deals with the use of space in communication, which means the way individuals orient themselves to other individuals and objects, the way you orient yourself among your your friends, your neighbors. If you, let's say, the proxemics between you and your classmate will be much closer than the proxemics between you and me. When you talk to me, you maintain a certain distance. Same way, when you talk to a stranger, you might maintain even a greater distance. But when you talk to your classmates, you maintain a much closer distance. And this, in term, is known as proxemics. Once again, what is proxemics? Proxemics deals with the use of space in communication. Thank you.